All right. Hello, everybody. Good to see you.
Hello,
Um,
hello.
Now that we've been watching the documentary, a few people have been coming with some questions, and we're really hoping. Well, some people are hoping to know a little bit more about what's been going on. So one question I've already seen coming in is from Joran Hoogvliet, and this is for Burke. Burke, I suppose that you are a DJ. Can you tell a little bit more about that and about the music scene in the Netherlands?
The music scene in the Netherlands is very contemporary, so you have basically everything. Um, how can I say? Like you have the highest mainstreams, but you also have the highest of undergrounds of the world. So in that sense, it's very privileged to be in the Netherlands as a DJ. Like compared to other countries, I can like I know the struggles from my friends, let's say. And what can I say about my DJing? I used to be a musician. Then I later on focused on solo projects and producing music electronically. Like let me be able to be in control of everything. And from there on, I started to make my mashups and jump to DJing. It's a bit like that.
Mhm. He's also asking, do you experience any form of discrimination in the art scene?
Mm, no, not really. No, I don't think so. I mean, of course, it's very hard for, let's say, white male artists. You gotta work really hard to get attention. But besides that, I think it's the opposite. It's also a bit like as extreme as you are, somehow you're more accepted. I think it's also because maybe they think you have an interesting story because you come from far or so, or like you have different background. But if you're a white male, then work hard.
Boring, actually.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. Um, let's see. Jeroen Vlasblom is asking to Christina. Um, Colombia and the Netherlands must be very different countries. I was wondering if you have experienced any differences in the gender roles that exist in the two countries.
Oh, yeah, in a way. Um, Obviously in the country, yeah, Colombia, generally speaking, has very set traditional gender roles. So, women are in the house and men work. I happen to come from a family where that doesn't happen as much. I was raised by almost all women. There was only one male in my house, and that was my grandpa, and that was it. So I'm very used to women being able to do everything, really. Everyone was working, everyone got an education. And in the Netherlands, I see that the separation is, generally speaking, not as strict, although I still do see it. So it's not that different, really. It really depends on who you're speaking to, the family you're visiting, or um, exactly what the gender roles are. I think the Netherlands is outwardly more open to guys not being at the top, whereas in Colombia that just happens inside the door. So to the outside, my grandpa was the boss of the family, but inside we all knew that it was my grandma.
Yeah, that's actually sounds kind of recognizable even for a lot of families probably here in the Netherlands.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So you can speak about generally, but obviously it change. It's very different depending on the household.
Uh-huh. I see here Anna Roma. She's asking also to you, Christina. Do you feel like you're learning a lot of things about the world now that you have experienced two different worlds?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I have the luck that I wasn't a kid when I moved to the Netherlands, so I managed to see Colombia through teenagers' eyes at least. And also now when I go back to visit, I can see that there's many differences, and I try to pick the best things out of both worlds. So yeah, definitely, I feel like having lived in two worlds has widened my worldview.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, and for Ida, there is Lisa Schulte. She is asking, in alternative media, Iran is sometimes portrayed as much more positive. For example, in the general news. Um, do you recognize this, and do you believe this is fair? Big
Mm,
question.
well, I think Iran has a propaganda that they want to portray themselves, which makes sense. And it's difficult for outside countries like Western countries, mainstream media, to really get a glimpse of what's really going on beneath the surface because they don't get that access as much as they would like. Alternative news might find other ways to get some access. I'm not that familiar, but there are some really good documentaries and some really good shows about what life in Iran is really about. And I think that if people watch that and they have no other clue than what they see in the media, they always say, wow, it's not what I expected it to be. So I really do feel like people have a view of what life in Iran is, which is just not what it actually is from day to day for the people that live there. So, yeah.
And from your own experiences?
Well, I haven't lived there. I was quite young when we left. I haven't lived there as an adult. And when we visited, yeah, I did feel like it's much different than people think it is. But when I have conversations with friends about what they think, but well, when I visit, it's also a cultural shock for me because I'm not used to it. So for me, it is a cultural shock. So yeah, I think I see it the same way you would probably. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I see here Hinda Cornelissen. She's actually asking myself, why did you want to make this film? Um, so to explain a little bit why I wanted to make this film, so that kind of came forth from a conversation in a nightclub actually that I had with a guy who was himself half Moroccan, half Dutch, and he said some things about how he kind of experienced his cultural identity and the way he wants to show it to the world that were kind of shocking to me. So he was basically saying, um, I I am obviously very Western in my values and my behaviors, but I will tell everybody that I'm Moroccan, not half Dutch, half Moroccan, but I am Moroccan. And he wanted to be, as in his own words, like the good Moroccan, and that was kind of shocking to me in a way. Like there were so many questions that I had immediately, but you have to imagine it. This was in a nightclub. There was loud music. It was towards the end of the night, so some alcohol had been consumed. It's not the most ideal place to ask more questions, I suppose. And not much later, I was at a party where I realized that there was just like I noticed that I had a lot of friends who had kind of mixed backgrounds, and I felt like, whoa, I have really opportunities to reach out to people and ask questions about this. And because I've been making movies together with Carlos, I also knew that I basically had the technical possibilities to do this, and it seemed very plausible, and I really liked the idea. So I just kind of felt like, okay, yeah, cool. This sounds like a great idea. Let's just do it. So I suppose that's kind of why I wanted to make this film, because it was possible and because I really was into the topic.
Yeah.
It was a good decision.
Yeah.
Let's see how everybody else feels about it. I have another question for Burke here, also from Lisa Schulte. She asked the question before. Thank you for your interest. Burke, where was your interview recorded?
My interview was recorded at De Besturing in The Hague. And De Besturing is one of my favorite arts initiatives in the industrial area of The Hague. And they started around a decade ago. They scouted the place, then later bought the place, so it's all theirs, and they're helping a lot of young artists there. And they're one of the craziest groups in Den Haag. It's a very big family.
I find it an interesting question because, of course, the background of your interview, all we see is industrial background. We don't really see where we are. It seems to be super random.
Yeah, it was the front, the sand factory is there, and behind me it was the art institute place, which also used to be a factory.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. For Ida, Michael Karsdorp, he's asking, do you feel like you have equal opportunities in your career here?
No, I feel I have more opportunities here,
Yes.
but also I'm not sure if that's grounded in actual facts, but I feel like the way I want to make a career, I have more freedom to do that here, to go into whatever I choose to. Well, being a doctor in Iran isn't, it's welcomed. It's welcomed most places in the world. But I feel like I have more moving freedom in what I want to do eventually.
Right. I think, okay, this is my interpretation. I think Michael also really meant like you have equal opportunities in the Netherlands as you are Iranian and not Dutch.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misinterpreted.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe your interpretation is not completely correct, but I'm also very curious about this
yeah,
project.
no, no. Well, if it's like that, no, I still feel like I have equal opportunity. Yeah, I do feel like that. Rotterdam is also a city that's a lot of foreigners already live here and study here, so I don't feel like that is a burden. Maybe in another city at another university that would have been more something that was prominent, but here it isn't. And I like to believe that in most places in Holland there wouldn't be as much of a um, mismatch of opportunity for me as it would be a Dutch person. Yeah. Did I answer it correctly this time, or did I still miss it?
Yeah, I think no, that yes, of course, it depends completely on Michael himself. But
Yeah, I hope you're satisfied with the answer.
let's see. Um, for Christina, I see Pablo's asking Pablo del Castillo. What do you do in your daily life?
Phew. Well, right now not a lot, but I work for an Uitzendbureau, a temporary job agency. I make sure that there is enough people to clean up the streets of Amsterdam. Um, so that's basically that. I do the whole payment area. I make sure that they get paid more than anything. I drink a lot of beer.
At work?
No, no, right after the second one. Yeah, no, and I like gaming. I like gaming a lot. So right now I got Borderlands 3 for my birthday, so I've been playing that a lot in my free time.
Nice. I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
especially
I
these
wonder
days.
actually, Christina, now that I see you with your completely different haircut from what it was in the documentary, I wonder if people will even recognize you.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier today, but to be fair, I cut my hair about a week after the documentary.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's now been about 7 haircuts ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I met you, your hair looked more like this than how it looked when we were recording. So
Yeah, I'm
now
back to my natural state.
I recognize you again. Let's see. I see. Jeroen is also asking a second question, Jeroen Plasblom, to myself as well. Can you explain the title? Yeah, the title. So I chose title. Can I see your ID, please? This title is in English, even though the documentary is overwhelmingly in Dutch. I thought about it for a long time. I couldn't really come up with a suiting title in Dutch, and I really liked the multiple layers that came with the English title. So can I see your ID, please? That's really that comes from the idea behind it, that people ask you this at several moments in your life. People ask you like, "Can I see your ID, please?" And it will give you your data, right? It says like, "Oh, your name, la 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 la." But this, when somebody asks you this, that this can be sometimes even a little bit aggressive. You know, why do you want to know? You know, and I've noticed a little bit the hypocrisy of me asking you guys to tell me a little bit more about your cultural identity and everything, when in the ideal world, in my opinion, we shouldn't be asking these questions at all. Like who cares? You know, it doesn't matter. I shouldn't want to know really about your personality, your character, your life, and I shouldn't be caring about like your cultural background. That shouldn't really matter, right? So I like kind of like the aggressiveness of can I see your ID, please? But of course, also because we are literally talking about how you identify and stuff. So I feel like that double layer was pretty good. And yeah, I'm sorry for the Dutch people who are very disappointed that the title is not in Dutch, but
Fine.
I guess we just kind of have to get over it.
They're used to it.
Yeah. Hopefully.
It's a nice way of asking about the background. I've been asked, "What are you?" before. Where are you from?
Yeah. It's a different angle. I see a question from Angela Mata for Aida. Do you think that most second generation immigrants feel mostly Dutch? Because it sometimes doesn't seem like that. There is a lot of attention for second and even third generation kids that reject the Dutch society. Wait, do you still remember the question?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it is about not feeling like you fit in and being treated as such. So you revert back to, well, if you don't say I belong to this group, then let me just completely, submerge myself in the group you think I belong in, and just reject the society they were actually born in. I can't relate to that, because a lot of what I've been doing is actually not try to, but successfully fitting into the society we moved to. But I think for second and third generation, it's an identity issue, perhaps, that, well, I was born and raised here, but at home it's different than what I see around me when I go outside, and people treat me differently than how they treat other people. So maybe that is my safe space, and I do refer back to that. I don't know.
Yeah, Burke, I remember you also were talking about that a little bit. You said something in the documentary about people who feel comfortable in the culture will suit better in this society than people who don't feel comfortable with the culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
I also had like again, that issue with some other people, like that I met here and there, and they would tell me about that they didn't feel like they belong to the Dutch culture or the Netherlands. But again, it can be also if they were just in their home country. I think you can isolate yourself from a society easily, and you can also like just make yourself believe that you belong to a society, and then of course then people approach you different. Then you're a rejecter. And I mean, also when you meet someone and you're telling them, okay, I'm this, so I'm rejecting you, all that I live here. That also, like, not saying you shouldn't do it or you should do it, but this will bring a reaction from people, of course, instead of saying like, oh, hi, we're together.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I see any other questions coming in. I think I've covered most of it. All right. Guys, thank you so much. I think this was very nice. Good to see you again as well. For most of you, it's been a long time since we've seen each other. So thank you so much, and I hope you'd like to work together and to do this documentary together, and I hope you like the end result. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time and making the nice documentary.
Yeah.
All right.